Hey students, it's Mr. Hayes. This is October 8th on a Thursday. You're watching this mini lesson video either at home or in person. Today we're going to talk about how we take this writing prompt that we finished yesterday at home and create a poem from it. It's going to be your last entry in your poetry MTL, and maybe it'll be the one that you're the most proud of and you can publish starting tomorrow. So yesterday, Wednesday, I had you all commit to a writing prompt. I think there were 6 or 7 options. You chose the one that motivated you the most, and you were to write a paragraph about it. The one that stood out to me the most was the simple question of how do you find peace in your life? There are a lot of different ways I could have gone with this response, but as you can see, and as you probably know from spending time in my classroom, I centered it on music. And I decided to develop about 6 sentences talking about how music is the trigger for peace in my personal life. And so I came up with the paragraph that you see up on your screen here. I'd like to read it out loud to you and then tell you a strategy how you can take this paragraph, figure out what are the parts that you can then turn into a poem, and then create that poem from those parts. So as you can see, I started with I find peace in my life through music. It is the heartbeat of every single day I live on this earth. When I'm frustrated, I jam out to some hard rocking Led Zeppelin or Pearl Jam, pulling out my fake electric guitar and screaming the hard biting lyrics to let my fury out. When I'm down in the dumps, I put the lighter fare on my record player, maybe some James Taylor or Bob Dylan. That lets me explore those raw emotions through incredible songwriting. When I'm in a great mood, feeling as high as the clouds, I might flip on something uplifting, like Michael Jackson or Justin Timberlake. Music has allowed me to persevere by escaping the realities of the world during the toughest times of my life. It's also the perfect partner for a summer campfire, a downpour when you're stuck inside, or a long car ride with the windows down. I don't know what I'd do without music. So you can see there are a couple of specific examples of artists that I enjoy, how music can take me through not just sadness and fury or frustration, but also some of the happier times in my life too. It is truly an antidote for all different kinds of emotions. And that's why music is something that helps me find peace in my life, no matter how I'm feeling on that given day. So that is my paragraph. That is my response to the writing prompt from Wednesday. Now I'm going to ask myself which parts, which sentences, which phrases can I take away from this paragraph and create a poem from? And you can see down here in the bottom right, I have the 3 elements of the paragraph that you want to focus in on to then transfer over to the poem that you will write. Number 1, the most essential parts. What are the parts of this writing prompt that I cannot do without, that it wouldn't be the same? The message would not be conveyed effectively without these parts. So what are the most essential sentences or phrases within this paragraph? Number 2, what is the clearest imagery? Is there a sentence or 2 I wrote here where I can close my eyes and picture myself in this moment in time? Kind of like we talked about on Tuesday's lesson with some of the imagery around the poem that we wrote with activating the 5 senses. And then third, are there any moments or objects that are symbolic, that have a deeper meaning behind them? So I'm going to ask myself these 3 questions, and I might go through my paragraph here and highlight or underline the parts of my poetry MTL in this prompt that I think fit these 3 categories. So the most essential parts. Well, certainly I need to make sure that I show that it's the heartbeat of every single day I live on this earth. It truly is. I mean, I listen to music 6, 7, 8 hours a day. So I really want to convey that. I also want to be specific with the artists I listen to. So I might throw in Zeppelin or Bob Dylan somewhere in my writing as well. And the fact that it helped me persevere through the toughest times in my life. So the heartbeat idea, the specific artists, and then the perseverance through the toughest times are the most essential parts, in my opinion, of my prompt. Then I want to go to imagery. Is there a moment in here where I can close my eyes and picture myself somewhere? Well, this sentence here, it's a perfect partner for a summer campfire, downpour when you're stuck inside, or a long car ride with the windows down. That is perfect imagery. I can place myself, in the backyard of my buddy's house with the campfire and the speaker going. A downpour where you can hear the rain hitting the rooftop as you're listening to a record in my bedroom or my apartment. And then obviously those long car rides blasting in the RAV4 with the windows down. Those are the 3 that clear imagery pops into my mind right away. And then the symbolism, the moments or objects with a deeper meaning. I think just the record player, which I state right here, would be the best piece of symbolism, an object that stands for something deeper, in this case, the music it plays and the heartbeat of my soul that it provides for me. So I'm going to make sure I have those three parts in my poem somewhere. So I'd probably like to, if this wasn't a Canvas module in the Google Doc, I would show you how I highlighted those parts and made sure I added them to my poem. So that's probably the strategy that you should do, is highlight the most essential parts, the clearest imagery, and the symbolic moments or objects with a deeper meaning, so you know where you're then going to move over to your poem. So the next task, after I'm done narrowing down my prompt and the parts that I'm really proud of, is I want to pick the poem that I'd like to write. As I've said all week, you can choose any of these 6 poetry structures, or you can invent your own. With the imagery poem on Tuesday about baseball, I did an ABAB rhyme scheme for my first 2 stanzas. You can invent your own rhyme scheme if you'd like. You can do no rhyme scheme with the free verse, or you can choose one of the set structures. Just make sure you get to 10 lines for today's poem, just like I've required all week. So I'm actually going to go with Windspark. I'm going to try this one with my prompt 2 poetry assignment here, and I'm going to make a Windspark poem. So as I move along here in my module, you can see I chose Windspark here, and the requirements of this poem is that the first line has to start with I dreamed, and then 2, I was something or someone. 3, where I'm doing that thing. 4 is an action that is associated with what I'm writing about. And 5 is how I'm doing that action. So you can see it down here in the poem that I came up with. I changed some of the past tense to present tense. That's why dreamed is now dream, or was is am. But I followed those requirements of a Windspark poem. So the first line is I dream. So I wanted to go right away with the symbolism, right away with that record player. I dream of the needle touching the smooth vinyl. A little bit of imagery there. You can see that happening, right? Letting loose the tunes that help me escape reality. There's that most essential part I included. I am, so I was something or someone. I am Zeppelin, jamming on the electric, or Dylan on the acoustic. Now where am I doing this? Well, I'm riding in the car with the windows down, sitting by a summer campfire. In action, dancing. Naturally, when you're listening to music, you might be dancing with it, dancing around the room, like Michael Jackson in his prime. And then how I'm dancing? Well, I got to do the signature Michael Jackson dance, the moonwalking. And there I have my Windspark poem. So I would just have to create another verse, another stanza, I should say, with 5 lines, maybe on some different elements of the prompt. Maybe I expand a little bit and create some new information that wasn't in the prompt. But in order to get to those 10 lines, I would like you to use as much of the prompt as you can, and then maybe add some new additional ideas that you came up with today that can get you to that 10-line requirement.